So I think what we needed to see today from the Shadow was a vision of how to get the economy moving again, to get growth back into the economy. And I think what we saw was a set of policies that are reasonable. Each one is reasonable, but it didn't add up to a comprehensive, bold plan to get growth in the economy again. We saw some select tax cuts announced, some spending cuts announced, but we didn't see a really deep diagnosis of why our economy is stagnating and what the Conservatives would do, different to the current government, that would drive growth and living standards in this country.
So you would like more depth in what he was proposing. I mean, clearly what he wants is some decent headlines and for ideas to gain traction. Another idea that he had was this NI rebate for those getting a first full-time job, that ploughed into them buying their first home. Do you think things like that make a difference? Do they really actually make a difference financially at the end of the day?
Of course. I mean, I think a lot of people, young people, struggling with kind of low wages and starting out trying to get on the property ladder, £5,000 would make a huge difference. But I think what would make a really big difference, and what I was hoping to see from the speech today from Mel Stride, was we have an economy that we've invested our levels of investment have been too low for too long. I'd like to see a plan to get investment up in the economy. We've got an over-centralised economy, so too much power and opportunity in London. We're in Manchester, large swathes of the north where we're not getting new jobs, we're not getting the industries of the future. A big, bold plan drive, those industries in the north would have been a big answer to one of the big structural problems in our economy. And I think, you're right to say there are some eye-catching policies in today's speech, but what I didn't see was a big, deep diagnosis of why our economy is struggling and what the big structural changes are that Conservatives will pursue in order to fix them. And that's what I think we need to be focusing on, what all political parties need to focus on.
What also was missing from the speech, and some have referred to it as the elephant in the room, is about pensions. Still committed, the Conservatives, to the pension triple lock. This is a massive amount of welfare spending, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed. We've got, very tight fiscal environment, limited room to increase taxation. There is some space to increase taxation, but not huge amounts. And spending on particularly older people, both in the NHS and pensions going up. Both political parties really need to show that they have a long-term plan, both to make sure we've got the tax revenues coming in that would pay for public services, and also that where we've got increasing pressure on the state, how are we going to manage that? And you're right, we didn't hear today a credible plan to manage growing pension spending, and that will be a big pressure on the state in the coming decade.
How big a problem for Mel Stride and the Conservatives is the legacy of Liz Truss?
I think it's a big problem for all political parties, because I think what it's done is, on the one hand, broken trust with the public, who don't think the politicians are acting in their best interests, who don't think that they're responsible when they're asking taxpayers to pay more tax. Are they really going to spend it well? And I think it's also broken trust with business and our bond market. So we're seeing increasing cost of borrowing and bond market wobbles at the moment. And I think that's in part because we've lost Britain's reputation as a really credible, well-run state. And I think what this government is trying to do is tackle that, and what the Conservatives have to do is show that they will also be responsible and govern effectively. Otherwise, they will be unable to rebuild trust with both the public, but also the bond markets, who we rely on to finance our debt.
Harry Quilter-Pinner, the Executive Director of the Institute for Public Policy Research. Good to talk to you today. Good to get your thoughts. Thank you.